you trust what your brain is telling you about yourself? In 2015, two researchers presented the case of a patient who had been previously diagnosed with cortical blindness. What was peculiar about this case was that the blindness would only appear in certain personality states. Was this person faking it? The researchers discovered something pretty crazy. Using brain imaging technology, they found that visual activity in their brain would fluctuate depending on different personality states. In blind states, it would be entirely blank. And then in others, there was clear visual activity. This person would alter between being blind or not, depending on their personality. This is a case of dissociative identity disorder, or DID. It's a legitimate diagnosis in the DSM-5. DID is characterized by a severe disruption to the sense of self and mind, amnesia, depersonalization, and derealization. And above all, DID is marked by the ability to have several personalities all in one body. These personalities could differ based on language, age, gender, or any number of dimensions. I mean, what could possibly cause something like this? And is it even real? Looking at the neurobiology behind DID, researchers point to the orbitofrontal cortex, a part of the brain primarily in charge of emotional processing, decision-making, and mapping the body. Taken together, these functions place the orbital frontal cortex as a critical part of generating our sense of self. It helps us inform our interactions, both with ourselves and the world. Now, what if this part of our brain is disrupted during development? Here's the theory. Traumatic experiences and inconsistent attachment styles can disrupt normal neurodevelopment in children. And importantly, those with DID tend to display two key features: a history of severe trauma and significant structural differences in their orbitofrontal cortex. Some posit that these individuals develop inconsistent personality states either as defense mechanisms or simply as a result of this diminished selfhood, usually as a response to such abuse. In short, their brain is lying to them about who they are. It's a scary thought to not know who one is due to trauma. Complex PTSD is another disorder characterized by trauma and alterations in one's sense of identity. Aside from the symptoms of PTSD, those suffering from complex PTSD also demonstrate a severe negative sense of self. This is believed to result from the chronic rather than acute nature of the trauma experienced by individuals with complex PTSD. They tend to internalize the negative experiences they have endured, which can take many forms, including severe child neglect, child abuse, and other prolonged adversities.
This video is sponsored by Saily. When my brother and I traveled through Patagonia, we often found ourselves disoriented, whether it be the ginormous city of Buenos Aires or the small fishing town of Puerto Natales. Getting confused and a little lost was to be expected. With today's sponsor, Saily, that doesn't have to be the case. Saily makes it so that you can have an internet connection wherever you travel with an eSIM, as well as saving you money on roaming fees. What makes Saily so incredible is that only one eSIM needs to be installed during your trip. That means one chip for the whole adventure. No more waiting in airport lines for a local SIM card, no more scams trying to find a card, plus 24/7 support to help with whatever problems come your way. Saily will also protect your privacy with its security features, which will change your virtual location and block malicious ads to help you roam more confidently. Simply download the app and get a plan for your next journey. Get an exclusive 15% discount on Saily data plans by using code Sisyphus at checkout. Download the Saily app or go to saily.com/Sisyphus. Feel better traveling knowing that Saily has your back. Thank you, Saily, for sponsoring this video.
Researchers even have a theory for how this works. The memory and identity theory posits that trauma exposure and individual vulnerabilities interact to influence the development of traumatic memories and a negative identity. But it's not just any traumatic memory. Researchers found that memories that have strong sensory details but lack context or meaning have the greatest impact. This can make the individual feel as if they are experiencing trauma in the present moment, leaving them with a sense of powerlessness and danger. It's as if they are suddenly traveling through time to their worst experiences. The brain is a time traveler, using ourself as a vehicle to travel between the past, present, and future. We constantly experience new things and adjust our neural connections through this process, thereby changing ourselves. We travel backwards, remembering key details and significant events, as well as project into the future, imagining what we are based on who we have been. This constant recalibration between time points suggests an effort towards constant self-construction. Sounds pretty destabilizing, right? What holds it together? Well, it's the same thing that sometimes makes us feel like we're falling apart. Our memory. Our sense of self is maintained primarily through our memories. Our memories act as a glue of sorts that hold our identity together. But as we've seen, trauma can act as a corrosive to these memories, leaving us with a frayed and fragmented sense of self. Trauma blends the past and present, leaving us in a constant state of reliving what has happened until we believe that what has happened to us is fundamentally who we are. Fortunately, our brain is pretty malleable. Remember our capacity to adjust neural connections as we journey through time? What if we could take control of this process and rewire ourselves, gluing it all back together? This is awareness integration theory, an evidence-based practice that is designed to enhance self-awareness to facilitate neuroplasticity. But what is neuroplasticity? Simply put, it's the brain's capacity to modify itself in response to what we experience. While past researchers believed that neuroplasticity was limited to early childhood, current research actually demonstrates that we might have this capacity for neuroplasticity throughout our lives. And importantly, we can actually take it into our own hands. Self-directed neuroplasticity is the main goal of awareness integration theory. This is a trauma-releasing approach that targets original memories through core beliefs, emotions, and bodily tensions. In targeting these memories, the brain opens the opportunity for the creation of new neural paths. That means new connections, new beliefs, and the erosion of that negative sense of self. So what does it look like in practice? The first component is self-awareness, the ability to recognize one's thoughts, feelings, and emotions. Secondly, mindfulness, where a non-judgmental awareness of present moment experiences can be improved with meditation and yoga. And finally, integration through adopting CBT, existential therapy, mind-body therapy, and among many others, is achieved through connecting different aspects of the self and fostering a sense of unity with one's identity. Now, you're probably thinking these interventions will work for more moderate cases, but what about that guy who was sometimes blind? With enough psychotherapeutic treatment, they were finally able to see again. Their brain finally told the truth about who they were. Yes, the effects of trauma on memory and from this the self is irrefutable. But we should remember, just because these awful things have happened does not mean that they are who we are. The brain is capable of significant change, and that means you are too. Remember that change is possible. As Jean-Paul Sartre reminds us, freedom is what you do with what's been done to you.